Okay, so in this video we will begin discussion of chapter 4 on verbals. So first, what are verbals? Verbals are words that have the form of verbs. They look like verbs, but they no longer function as verbs. The first verbal that we're going to talk about are gerunds. So gerunds have the form of a verb, but they function rather as nouns. So we can see in this first example, we have studying is important. So studying is the subject of this sentence. Yes, it looks like a verb. It has this ing on it, which normally signifies that the word is a verb. But in this sentence, it is the subject of our sentence. Subjects are nouns. So studying is important. And two, the best way to achieve a good grade is studying. So using our knowledge from chapter 3, we can see the subject of the sentence is the best way to achieve a good grade. We have the main verb is, and is a linking verb, and then studying. So the best way is this. Studying is a thing here. Studying is a noun. So here, studying is functioning as a predicate nominative. In number 3, studying in groups for exams is important. Again, we can see the subject of this sentence is studying in groups for exams. So this item, studying, that looks like a verb, that has the form of a verb, is functioning as a noun. So because gerunds are nouns, they can do all of the things that nouns do. So that means they can be subjects of sentences, they can be direct objects, they may be objects of prepositions, they may be predicate nominatives. So we can see in the first example, running is my favorite activity. Running is the first noun phrase of the independent clause, so this is the subject of this sentence. In the second one, I enjoy running. So running is a noun phrase following a transitive verb. So again, thinking of chapter 3, we have subject, transitive verb, and then the direct object. Today is a good day for running. So we have a prepositional phrase, for running, and we've said that prepositions must be followed by a noun. On the table, in the apartment, near the house, all of those have preposition plus noun or noun phrase, and this is true here for running. We also have it as a predicate nominative. My favorite activity is running. So here we have SLV plus PN. So again, just a few more examples to help us see this function. So we have walking is great exercise. Here we have the gerund functioning as the subject. Steve gave studying a try. So again, this would be pattern 6 from our previous chapter discussion, where we have Steve as the subject, gave as the transitive verb, studying as an indirect object, and a try as the direct object. In the third example, we have STVDO. We just have one noun phrase. In the next one, my favorite activity is reading. We have SLVPN. In the next one, we have the object of the preposition, for winning. And then we even have the gerund in this final example as an appositive. So lucky for us, we have more tests to apply to help us determine whether or not an item is a gerund. So certainly our most productive and most valuable test has been substituting pronouns. That has helped us determine if an item is a noun phrase. It has helped us determine subjects. It's helped us determine several things throughout this course. They can also be used, this pronoun test, to help us determine whether an item is a gerund. Right? Because gerunds are nouns, they must be able to be substituted with a pronoun. Right? That's what pronouns do. They replace nouns and noun phrases. So let's test this. Sleeping late on Saturdays is awesome. Sleeping late on Saturdays can be replaced by the pronoun it. It is awesome. right? So we can see, yeah, the pronoun test works. Sleeping late on Saturdays is a noun phrase. Sleeping is a gerund. James gave it a try. Perfect. We can substitute the pronoun it for surfing. Must be a gerund, must be a noun. He studied writing. He studied it. He studied this. He studied that. Again, we can substitute a pronoun. And the same is true with the fourth and the fifth example. One great activity for the family is this. My strategy for this is to always just speak loudly. Okay, so if you can substitute the ing verb for the ing word for a pronoun, then it must be a gerund. But there's more. Nouns can be owned, correct? My car, your bag, Steve's ball, Jesse's bike, right? Because you can own a noun, and gerunds are nouns, then you should be able to insert a possessive word in front of the gerund, right? So we just had the example, sleeping late on Saturdays is awesome. And we said, well, we could say it is awesome, so it fulfills the pronoun test. But we could also say Robert's sleeping late. My sleeping late is awesome. I don't care about your sleeping late, but my sleeping late is great. James gave his surfing. He studied Chomsky's writing. He studied my writing. He studied your writing. So all of these gerunds can be owned by a possessive word. Their biking, for my debating. So if we can insert a possessive, then we have another signal that the item is a gerund. But one more. So you can try to change the tense. Right? We have said that verbs inflect for tense, right? So I smile, I laugh, but in the past we say smiled or laughed. In the future, I will smile, I will laugh. But nouns do not do that, right? So here we have an example. My favorite learning strategy is reading literature. So the question is reading in this example, is reading a gerund or is it a verb? So if you can conjugate it, then it must be a verb. So if you look towards the bottom, my favorite learning strategy read Japanese literature. My favorite learning strategy will read Japanese literature. Those sentences don't work, right? Because we cannot conjugate it. That shows us that it must be a gerund. So let's look at one more of those. The boy is learning French. So, can you conjugate this? Can you say the boy learned French? The boy will learn French? Yes, you can say that. So this shows that in this example, learning is a verb. It is not a gerund. So let's look at two examples. So we have Sharon's pleading did not convince her mother at all. So pleading. Well, we've just said if you can insert a possessive noun in front of the gerund, then it must be a gerund, right? Sharon's pleading. We can also substitute a pronoun. It did not convince her mother at all. So we have several tests here that show us, this must be a gerund. In the second one, he got a ticket for running a red light. So he got a ticket for running. For running is a prepositional phrase. So in a prepositional phrase, we have a preposition plus a noun or a noun phrase. So yes, running is a gerund. We could also replace it with the pronoun. He got a ticket for this, right? That works. So that shows us again that it is a gerund. So let's look at these few examples here. So what is the gerund? And then what is the function of each gerund within the sentence? Is the gerund a subject? Is it a direct object? Is it an object of the preposition? Or is it a predicate nominative? So looking at the prince was her favorite activity. So it's important that we apply some of these tests. So can we substitute a pronoun in that position? It was her favorite activity. Absolutely. The pronoun substitution test works. We could say her looking at the prints was her favorite activity. We can insert the possessive. So again, we have a signal that this is a gerund. And so what is the function within the sentence? Well, it was her favorite activity. That is the first noun phrase in the independent clause. So looking at the prints must be a subject. The decorator loved visiting the museum. So apply the first test. Can you substitute a pronoun? The decorator loved this. Absolutely. So we can see that visiting the museum is a gerund phrase. So then how is it functioning in the sentence? So the decorator is the subject. Loved is the transitive verb. Visiting the museum is a direct object. The decorator loved this. Just one noun phrase, so it's a direct object. In 3, the museum had a show on brushing your teeth. So we have the preposition on. Prepositions must be followed by a noun phrase. So brushing your teeth is the OP, the object of the preposition. 4, visitors would finish by rushing out for a new toothbrush. So again, we have the preposition by plus a noun phrase. So rushing out for a new toothbrush is an object of the preposition. Number 5, showing objects of daily life can be substituted with the pronoun it. It is the museum's purpose. So this gerund phrase is the first noun phrase of the sentence. Therefore, it is the subject. The museum aims at attracting all sorts of people. The museum aims at this. At is a preposition. So again, we have an object of the preposition in number 6.